Alright, well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this. And welcome back to the path. And yeah, this is After Charges After Charge, and this is basically a series that follows basically whatever I post on Sundays on this channel, or whatever I do or speak about on Sundays. So this video will probably be coming after I did like a preaching on Sunday about God's sovereignty in the midst of chaos, which should be the previous video. And I just wanted to speak about injustice. I feel like that's been a topic that's been something that's been on my mind a lot, especially in the midst of everything that's happening in the world, and even not just on a macro scale, but also in my personal life, with family, with things, thinking about my own future. There is a lot that's going on in the world, and I think that that's a common experience that I believe we're all going through with in whatever phase of life that you're in. I think everyone just has a general sense of like pessimism and for just thinking about anything, thinking about life in this moment of time. So yeah, that's why I just wanted to speak about injustice and the experience of not just your own injustice, but seeing other people have injustice committed to them. Maybe it's happening to you, you've experienced certain traumas and whatever that looks like. So yeah, I just wanted to speak about that in this video. And yeah, it's gonna be a simple discussion and let's have fun with it. I think to just give more context to where I'm at, I think for me at the moment, especially in the past few weeks slash month, I think I've been doom scrolling a lot more than I have. And that just means like I've been reading a lot of news, watching a lot of news, like maybe the evening, morning, so it pops up on your feed. So there's literally been a lot of, and especially it's been really, it feels like it's gotten much worse in like the past few months, but it just feels there's so much more war and chaos and just it feels like the truth, you've been seeing the truth dying more, and that's just how it feels like. You just seeing like the experiencing the truth and the value of truth and decency just dying a lot more. And so it's just been more difficult, I think. And I think even as a Christian, it's easy. It's becoming. It's very. There's a lot of tension there, because you do recognize God's power and sovereignty in all of these cases. But I think there's also that human element of how do you be with someone? How do you like bear with someone when it just feels so big and you're literally fighting, not even fighting, but just like you're witnessing, or it feels like you're at the mercy of systems that are literally designed to destroy you in like every sense of that word. And so that's why I just wanted to focus on injustices. And when I say the word injustice, it can literally mean like anything. I think it can go from either wars created by people in power to literally we had just like in South Africa, it was like two highly publicized and like two high profile cases of gender based violence. And then literally even in Swaziland where I am, it's like there's just literally been like murders of children and everything. So, and even like on a personal level, you still experience like your struggles in family, unemployment, like low income and all of these things. So, and all of these things are all, which is weird, like injustice is like so tied to like oppression and all of that. So I think there's just so much that I think comes with that word, and is a lot of heaviness. And another video which also inspired this a lot was Tim Keller's video on, I forgot what it was called, but he did a preaching on Habakkuk, yeah, the book of Habakkuk. And I've never read that book before, but I read, I think he did 1 and 2. He was doing like a series through it. And that book is literally just about injustices. And not only injustice, but it's about, God is very interesting in terms of like how he tells Habakkuk that it's going to get worse. And I feel like for us, for a lot of people in this moment of time, it's going to get worse. It's going to, like, we're literally seeing a lot of, you know, the world and love for other people and empathy and kindness and decency literally crumble, like, just in front of our eyes. And it can feel so heavy. It feels heavy. Rather, it feels heavy. It can feel hopeless at times. And I think that so that's basically like just where I'm at. It's just like contending with all of these things and trying to look at how do you how do you approach these moments and these experiences and this lived this like these moments in time in a way that still like glorifies God. And how do I go through it well without while allowing space for my humanity? That's, I think, is something I've been struggling with, without allowing the waves of the waves to literally shift my focus from Jesus. But how do I go about it? Like, what is that way to go about through each of these things while still maintaining my focus on God, but still allowing myself to be human, to feel scared, to feel hopeless, to feel all of these different things, you know? And I think that's also those are the questions I've been asking myself a lot. Yeah. And so with this video in particular, I wanted it to have a very personal feel, especially because we're discussing injustice, and injustice is often, it's so complex. It doesn't just have one source. It doesn't just have one like easily identifiable face. There's so many different faces to it, and there's so many different systems in place when it comes to injustice. And I think that in the midst of injustice, and with this video, I wanted us to be able to also just sit. I wanted us to also focus on sitting in that pain, sitting in that experience of having to watch evil thrive. And I think one of the most is the shortest verse, but also one of the most interesting verse that I want to start off with as well was Jesus wept. I think that's in John, somewhere in John, or yeah, somewhere in John. And when Jesus went to meet Mary and Martha after Lazarus died, the shortest verse, Jesus wept. And I think that it's a very powerful thing to see God who's able to resurrect, who's all powerful, who's all everything. He still wept, and he sat with them in that pain, in that experience of loss. And I think that's a very beautiful model to how we can also work, or how we can operate in a world of injustice. In that, in the same way that we can hold the tension of wanting justice and fighting for justice and being people who are obedient to the commands of the Lord in seeking righteousness and justice, there's also a part where I also think that sitting in it is so important. Sitting with people, sitting with ourselves, sitting with the experience and the heaviness of injustices in the world it's so important as well for our own sanity as well. I think that's really important. So I also want this video to be a space where we can also just sit with it. I think one of the things about injustice is that I think it's not, obviously it's the injustice, but I think that one of the things that's been so scary for me is that it's how it's desensitizing me to not only to sin, but to depravity, to violence. And I think right now, like, nothing is shocking to me anymore. And that's I think the scariest thing. So like literally I can read an article that says 50,000, 1,000 people, 100,000 people were killed. And it's like, if I'll be honest with you, would that impact me? Would that impact me? That's a scary question. because it just feels like there's nothing shocking anymore. There's literally nothing shocking. And I think that's my biggest like worry, and that's my biggest um that's what eats at me the most, is that as it is constantly like desensitizing me, and it's like making me less my ability to be responsive and to have those human emotions to violence and to all of these different things is reducing. What is it doing to me, like spiritually? Is it like taking me, does it mean I'm going further away from God? It's like all of these questions like are going through my mind. It's just really, really um it's very scary to think about, it's very scary to think about. I think another thing is that also when we discuss injustice as well, um or experience injustice, I think it can be very easy, or one of the things that I'm also struggling with a lot is falling into the trap of self-righteousness. I think that because we have visible faces of injustice now, we have visible, we can paint people through their actions and through what the things that they do. Okay, this is evil. What they're doing is evil, and what they've done, and it can be so easy for me to be like, oh, I'm better than them, or I know that there's a part of me which is more good, or or more good in the eyes of the Lord than them. And another thing I've also been like struggling with is like fighting against that. I don't want the standard of what makes me feel like I'm good to be someone, to be another person. And I think that as we experience injustice, and as we seek injustice, it's so important to maintain like, what is our standard? Who is our standard? And I think that one of the things that Jesus did was like, even on the cross, or even before that, even on the way to the cross, he never approached the people around him in a way that made him better than them. Even though he was justified, even though he had not committed any sin, there was still a sense of humility, and there was still a sense of like, of he was not going to make himself like appear or to be better. And I think that for me, looking at myself and like, bro, I know I know, as someone who is sinful, as someone who has transgressed God in so many different ways, who constantly transgresses God and sins, and so many, in like literally there's nothing in me that is worthy, that can even look up to God in confidence in anything. And so as we're experiencing injustice or experiencing injustices, and we experience the visual the people and the figureheads of injustice, I don't want to fall into a space, in that space where I judge them. And that's also another thing, is like falling into a space where you cast judgment. And I feel like I've been doing that too, which is scary. And it's trying to literally just stay in a space of like, God, I know what you have forgiven me. I know the sins that you've forgiven me. Like, help me to approach even these people with a sense of mercy, with a sense of like, I know that why I'm not attacking them, but I'm attacking the action, the system, the sin, but not them. And you can only do that through grace. You can only do that through the Lord helping you to that. Because even if I try, even if I say I could do it, my heart is deceitful. There's things which there's so crazy. Like, there's things which are in our hearts that they won't be exposed until we are in certain situations, until like, and God can see our hearts. So even if we might think, but I'm approaching this in a good way, God can see the hidden judgment, the hidden like what's the word, like the hidden hidden what is it, the hidden desire to see them suffer, to the hidden self-righteousness in me, the fact that I think I am better than them, or that I'm approaching them from a way that since I'm a Christian, I'm able to, I know the right thing, or I'm better than you in a way. And so that's also another thing that is such a very important part, a very important component of experiencing and walking this journey of living in a time of injustice, is that it's protecting and guarding your heart against self-righteousness and judgment, and those hidden those hidden what is it, impurities in our hearts. And we can only do that by coming to God, even if just staying at his feet, and just staying in a state of like mercifulness, in terms of knowing what he has taken us, what he has forgiven us from. And it's like, bro, it's not even about them, this is about me. It's not about them, it's about me at this point. So yeah, man, that's also another thing I wanted to just bring up, is that, yeah, another thing in this, like in experiencing and living in a time of injustice, I think that there is or for me, I'll speak for myself, but I really want to, I really want to be small. And what I mean by that is that, we live in a time when one man's decision can impact the lives of literally tens of thousands of people. One person's decision can destroy and literally lead to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. One man's decision can destroy a whole family, a whole lineage of people. And that is very, I think if you look at, and I think as if you look at it logically, or if you try to look at it logically or analytically, it's like there's something that's just naturally in you that's going to be like, okay, if one person can do that, I also need to impact 1,000 people as well. I need to make sure that I'm impacting 1,000 people positively to try and counterbalance the thing. And I think that in this season of experiencing or living in this time of injustice, one of the other things that like I've been trying to learn from God is how he approaches it, and how and like just going through how Jesus lived through his time of in his time and his experience of injustice, and over the course of the Bible, how Jesus approached it. And I think one of the things that is so interesting is that Jesus, God, if most of the times that they acted, most of the times that they worked through people and through experiences, it was through one person and through the kindness of one person. And so I've been trying to just like be as small as possible. I've been trying to focus on these smaller, I call it like pockets of joy, finding pockets of joy. So I may not be able to impact 1,000 people, but I can find a pocket of joy with, even if it's sometimes just my family, it's finding those pockets of joy. If it is finding with someone who I'm able to meet on the street, it's just finding a pocket of joy and experiencing joy from the lives of people even I don't even know. And I think that it's so interesting. It's something that I've been trying to like visualize more in terms of like lowering myself, because it's so hard to carry that burden of and I think it's natural to come through, but it's so hard to carry that burden of wanting to impact so many people at once. But if you just look at your life, and if you're able to impact a lot of people, that's good. But for a lot of us, it's literally just going to be the people in your small circle, in people in like your tiny speck of where you live. And I think that is how there's so much power in that. Finding those small pockets of joy is so important. So yeah, I think that's another way that I've just been, that also allows me to be more humble, allows me to be more like aware of my my meaninglessness in this world, and that's in a good way. And yeah, so I think that's something that I've also been trying to do. Right. Yeah, I think that's it from me. I think just to close it off, I really want to just speak about um, the experience, the experience. Um, I think that as I said before, it's probably going to get worse. It's probably going to get. I mean, God has prepared us for this moment. We've been seeing like one of the, I think it's before the end of like before God goes to the cross. He is very intentional about preparing his disciples for the moments where of turmoil, of chaos, of wars, of seeing the light of people being shunned, being turned off, the kindness, the loss of the love, and now the flesh being pushed even more, and the desires, people focusing on the desire of the flesh. I think Paul spoke about that, and that's and so there's also a part of us which has been prepared for these moments. And I think that the just to encourage each of us, I think that one of the things I would just encourage us is like being eternity minded, being kingdom focused. I think I was reading Hebrews 11, and there's a part about that which is like um, there's a part, obviously the whole thing is about faith, and I think faith is so beautifully tied to our hope. It's the hope of things not seen. It's the assurance. I've messed that up so bad, but it's the assurance, the assurance of things not hoped for, and the something of things not seen. What is it? There's a word there. I forgot it, but yeah, that. And so right now it's just about strengthening our faith. And there's a part which like after that it's like it speaks about Moses being indifferent to the anger of the Egyptian king, but his mind and his eyes are focused on the one which cannot be seen. I thought that was so cool. And I feel like in this moment it's literally just calling for us to, as much as we are still supposed to be ambassadors of the cross. We are supposed to like put on our armor of God and to be ready to suffer, to be ready to join in the sufferings of our brothers. But at the same time, it's because we gain the strength to do that because our minds have gone beyond this world. Like we're able to endure, we're able to also go through times of trials, times of sufferings, being taken to being put in jail, being killed, being afflicted, like these moments. I think now just but like in Esther, it's the really beautiful verse about, I think it's Esther 4 verse 4. It's like maybe you were made for a time like this, and so if you are like living, if you are in this generation, if you are a part of the, I don't know how many billion, it's like 2 billion, or I don't know how many people are in the world, but the billions of people in this world, you are made for a time like this. And I think that's the most important message, is like God has uniquely positioned you wherever you are, whatever that you're doing, whatever experiences that you go through, for his glory. And I think that's one thing I'd love to encourage you with, and to just to keep on, just to know that you have a very beautiful role to play in this orchestra as we're moving towards Jesus' return, and as we're moving towards even experiencing our own whatever injustice that we experience. It's like you have such a beautiful story to tell that has been written by God, and he will give you the strength to do that and to go through that. And so yeah. Last verse. That verse, 2 Corinthians, I believe it is, but it's the verse where it's about you'll be perplexed, you'll be afflicted but not destroyed, you'll be perplexed but not stuff, confused, and it's like all of that. And then there's a part, I think it's in that same verse, where it says, but God. And I think in whatever that you're going through, that when it says you will go through all of these sufferings, but God, well, I forgot what it says after that, but it says but God. And those two words are so important in this time, because no matter how bad it gets, God always shows up. God always has a plan for whatever sufferings that you're going through, and it's only going to result in you being glorified. You receiving that beautiful crown. You receiving that hero's welcome when you get it to the end. And so just keep your mind on that. And yeah, man, he's faithful to finish the good work that he has started in you. So that is my encouragement. It's yeah, yeah. That is my encouragement to you. So that has been After Church. Is After Church. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you very, very much for being. Thank you so much for existing. Shout out to you, man. I love you wherever you are, and yeah, man. I'll see you guys next week or somewhere, wherever I see you guys. What did I say? See you somewhere, somehow on one of these channels. I'll see you guys. Bye bye.